Overwatch should have gone free to play a really long time ago, and it kind of needs to go free to play soon. Now the reason I'm saying this is because if you look at like who's playing, the game is not exactly popular like it once was before. On Twitch it gets, nowhere near the amount of views it did on release, and obviously that is expected, but I don't think Blizzard's doing everything they can to essentially keep the game thriving. One thing that's a big problem, especially playing in competitive, is probably the amount of Smurfs, and it's particularly bad on console. The reason this is because you can make a Smurf for free. Once you've got the game, you can essentially just make it for free. Whereas compared to PC, you do have to buy another account. Now, if you think about it, there's always things in, or like Outliers in competitive that will always affect your climb basically, because they say there's 30-30-40 rule, where 40% of games you have an impact on. 30% you win regardless because enemy have throws, you have a Smurf, or 30% you lose because you have they have throws. So yeah, it's like 30 you always win, 30 you always lose, 40% you have an impact on. But one of the problems is with Smurfs is that there'll always be more Smurfs on the enemy team than there are on your team, assuming that you play on one account. Compare this to levers, where there is a 6 in 11 chance that the lever will be on the enemy team rather than your team. But when comparing this to Smurfs, it means that the enemy team will always have more Smurfs and are therefore likely to win. So making it free to play would mean that there'd be so many new players that the ranks would actually shift a bit. I reckon everyone would go up about 200 SR or so, because if you think about it, initial placements, everyone really ranks between sort of high silver to low plat. So that would cause a little shift in the ranks, and what this means is that PC Overwatch will be affected, but it will only have the same amount of Smurf proportion as console. So overall you'd start seeing more newbie players, which would shift the ranks up, rather than Smurfs where you kind of go into the game thinking, oh, I'm going to lose now because of the Smurf. Now another reason they need to make it free to play is just because of the general interest in the game. We've got Overwatch 2 announced for, hopefully next year, and if we have it free, a bunch of people will be able to experience the first game and then probably be more likely to buy Overwatch 2, which they're banking on being such a good success. So realistically, making Overwatch 1 free is a really good way to go. Finally, it would just pretty much save the game or help out with the active player base. If we look at console top 500 in particular, the top 10 page ranges from people from 4600 to 4300, and then the bottom 500 finishes about Masters at the end of the season, which means that there's basically no one playing it at the higher ranks. And while the higher ranks obviously only accounts for about 1% or less of the whole population, on console this is particularly bad because pretty much everyone is just in the mid ranks and there's just not an active player base. So therefore, making the game free to play would bring back a pretty consistent player base. It's free, so everyone will download it. It's not too big of a game, and as in terms of storage and stuff, it's one mode multiplayer pretty much. And it's not like it's the worst game. They've definitely made some decisions which hurt the game, like adding certain heroes or just refusing to fix certain metas which kind of put people off. But honestly, making the game free to play would just be the way to go. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to share my thoughts. Thanks for watching.